And there's this big old.
I was talking about something completely.
Yeah, I'm just saying you would, of course. So suits are law. That's civil law, and then of course there's criminal law. For civil law, all they can do is take away.
Here at Regis, well, this is my second round. I taught here from 1988 when we were still on the college campus to 1994, and then I came back here in 2011. Right now, of course, the huge difference is having the girls' division. We're the only Jesuit school in the world that has a system like this. So it's, for me, having taught boys for 30 years, coming to teach girls has been a real, a challenge in many ways. Not a bad thing, but I've had to relearn things or learn how to do things differently than I did before.
Now we go to the trial.
I was ordained a priest in 1987. Well, my first thing was not so much to become a priest, but become a Jesuit. I went to a Jesuit high school. In those days, we had about 40 Jesuits in every school. So it was, I got to know them and work with them. And as my senior year came along, I went on a retreat. And this, I don't know where this came from. I think it was from God, but this feeling, it wasn't a voice or anything, but just this idea, be a Jesuit. And I resisted that for a while, but then thought, well, and then suddenly it was a very peaceful decision. And so I applied and was accepted in 1975. There's a long period of training, 12 years, before I could become a priest.
Not to be Hosanna Hans. What's up with that, dude? In some way, whether
I was teaching here in 1994 when the provincial, who's the head of the Jesuits for this area, asked me to take a job with what's called the Jesuit Refugee Service. Specifically, and it's all over the world, but specifically the part that's in Eastern Africa. So from 1994 till 96, and then again from 98, 99, I was assigned to Eastern Africa. Our main headquarters is in Nairobi, but in those days you had the Rwandan massacre had just occurred. Uganda still had quite a bit of upheaval in it. Sudan was certainly, they were in a civil war. Ethiopia had had a revolution at that time when they threw out Mengistu. And so a lot of camps were, and Somalia was also in a meltdown. So a lot of camps were on the borders of Kenya, which was a relatively stable country, and that's where refugees came. And the two main jobs of the Jesuit Refugee Service, JRS as we call it, is one, education, trying to set up schools. In every refugee camp, there are usually tens of thousands of children. And so they have nothing to do, and while they're in a refugee situation, their parents are concerned that their education go on. And so we would identify people who were able, they don't talk in terms of grades over there, they talk in terms of standards. So this guy graduated standard 7. Okay, he can teach standard 1 and 2, and we would help them learn how to do that. Well, this one went to Form 3, which is like junior in high school. Well, then he can teach something higher. This woman did, so we try to identify people who are available to do that, then get usually small shelter type of schools built, maybe under a tree, something like that. We would bring in a piece of plywood about 3 feet by 3 feet, paint it black, hang it from the tree. You got a school.